Every single essence in this tab was farmed in 100 maps. I've already sold some, it was around 11,000. The reason I sold some is because I did have this video recorded, but I've had to re-record it because the patch that just dropped last night changed the strategy. I'm not going to say nerfed because the strategy is still pretty much doable at 100% power. You just have to change from doing Alva to doing Einhar, which can just take a little bit longer, but you'll still be seeing the pretty much same returns per map on essences on average, I believe, maybe slightly less. I'll show the Google Docs with all the loot in a second and an example map at the end of the video, but the strat is essence Scarab of calcification. Rare monsters that are natural inhabitants of the area are imprisoned by essences with an essence Scarab of ascent and two Scarab of adversities. All of those mirrored rare monsters, 8 each, gets turned into essences, which is why we take that over the regular essence Scarab, which only adds 2. And then the passive tree is mainly revolved around this crystal resonance, right? A map boss is granted a random essence modifier from any imprisoned monster slain in your maps. What this means is that if you defeat 50 essence mobs in your map, that map boss will drop 50 essences. And this bottom line here, using remnants of corruption on imprisoned monsters in your map replaces all essences with one of the essences on the imprisoned monster, is pretty much nothing, right? It's just the downside if you decide to use corruptions on your essences. The reason being, let's say you have 3 essences with, 2 deafenings and 1 wailing each. If you corrupt all 3, you can still expect to get 6 deafenings and 3 wailings, just like you would have expected if you didn't corrupt them. So you're just losing money on the remnants of corruptions. We take every essence node. I took, some map modifier effects, some quant, mainly because you just have a lot of leftover passives. Originally, I was taking Alva because with the calcification scarab, every rare in Alva's temples would get turned into an essence mob. It was nice. You'd on average get around 8 extra essence mobs per map. But even though that's been changed, this is still pretty viable with like 95% of the amount of essences I got. You just go with Bestiary instead because all of Einhar's beasts, or a majority of them, get turned into essences. Also, on average, the bestiary maps might just be better profit per hour. It took me 6 to 7 minutes to run the Alva maps. The few bestiary maps I did, it took me 4 to 5 minutes. Obviously, you can get really unlucky. You can get those beasts that keep reviving and stuff. But I do think if you were to run bestiary, your profit per hour is probably just going to be higher, and the amount of essences you get in the few maps I run is pretty much neck and neck with the Alva one. It's more consistent in my opinion with beats. It just doesn't have, the high rolls that the Alva one did. But I'd imagine you're still going to be seeing the same amount of essences and the same amount of maps as me. I'm also taking Nico just because these maps get really rippy, and I'm running 8 modded maps too. I want to stress that there's 2 ways to run this strategy. You can run a map where the map boss is nearby the spawn. You rush the map boss, you get him down to culling range, then you go, you kill all the essence mobs, and you come back and you kill the map boss. That's the easy strategy. Or you can do what I did, you can run a map like Strand that has multiple bosses, so the essences disperse over the multiple bosses and they're easier to kill. That's the strategy I went with, but even then, sometimes it can take a minute to kill a boss, and sometimes you're still dying on them. Okay, here's the loot. This is pre-flip. I originally recorded this video pre-flip, then post-flip, but I've just got to go over both of the results on the spreadsheet now. It was 136 divines pre-flip. Divines are at 100 chaos per divine right now. It ended up being 9,400 chaos profit. Post-flip, I took into account the harvest juice and the price used, and I ended up making an extra 55 divines minus 25 divines worth of harvest juice. It's 30 divines profit from flipping, and if we combine both the strategies, flipping is pretty much, the second part of the strategy, the second part of running essences. You're going to be making, 123, 124 divines profit. Maybe slightly less now that it is beats, but it won't be that much less. If I got 11,000 essences, you'll get, 10,500. That's just how it's going to roll out. I also did sometimes run it without Alva just because I forgot to proc the tempo. You're not going to have that problem with beasts. So, if anything, you can probably expect pretty much the exact same results. Obviously, prices fluctuating, so the profit might be different, higher or lower, depending on when you do this. I'll run an example map now with the beasts, and this Google Docs and the Atlas tree for the beast will be in the description.